this chapter was like 24 pages and so much stuff in there. And it's basically instructions to practitioners so that their prayer treatment will be effective. And you know, you don't have to want to be a practitioner to want your prayers to have something happen. You know, you want your prayers answered, basically. But before I get started with this, I'm going to have to, I just was picking things out of it, you know, and I've got like a couple hours worth of stuff here. So I said, well, this isn't going to do. So first I want to talk about today. Today is the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew celebration of the religious New Year. And it's also known as the Day of Judgment, or the Day of Remembrance. And if you're a Orthodox Jew, you've been spending the last week reviewing your relationship with God and leading up to this. And then during these 2 days, tomorrow and the next day, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of that relationship. It's also a basic thanksgiving for the creation, especially the creation of Adam and Eve and humans. So we're all blessed, and we're part of that creation. You know, what blows me away with Science of Mind and Ernest Holmes, he brings up things, you know, as we don't want our spiritual beliefs to get stuck in the mud, you know, to get in the quagmire of dogma. We want it to grow as knowledge and spiritual living grows. We want this to grow. And the more we learn scientifically about this universe, the more amazing God is. I mean, this thing that is created here that we're part of is so awesome. Before I really get into this, I'm reading a book. I'm reading about, I don't know, 8 books or something, but this one is the Lenape Native American folk tales, it's called. But it's also about their religious practices and beliefs. And I just finished the chapter on creation. And there's so many parallels to the Bible that it blows you away. The first 4 words of the Bible, in the beginning, God. And that's the beginning of this creation story. And God's in this nothingness and has a vision. And God envisions the universe in this vision. So God starts creating stuff because he wants to fulfill this vision. He really liked the vision. So he starts creating all this stuff. And he creates these spiritual beings. There's 4 main spiritual beings that are the grandfathers of the East, West, and North, and the grandmother of the South. And they each have their different assignments in this creation. And it's really fascinating stuff. And then later, there's a flood. I mean, like a world-encompassing flood, which is another parallel to the Bible. And these people, you know, on another continent on the other side of the world from the people that wrote the Bible. But they're talking about this flood, and one of the spiritual beings that he has created is called Nanapush. And Nanapush is the grandfather of beings and men. And he gathers all the living beings of the earth and stashes them under his shirt so they won't be drowned in the flood. It's such a wonderful story. I'm just so fascinated by it. But then he has to get the earth back. So he looks for a volunteer, and different animals volunteer to swim to the bottom and bring up some mud. Well, and they die and they float to the surface one at a time. And he brings them back to life because he's Nanapush. And then finally the muskrat says, after 3 or 4 of them had died, he says, well, I'll give it a shot, little muskrat. And he gets down there and he gets some mud and he makes it back. So Nanapush takes the mud and he blesses it, and it starts growing, and it ends up creating the continents and everything, and all the creatures under his shirt get to go out and multiply and be the world. It just not that much different than the Bible. And it just brings up so much the unity of humanity when we let ourselves be unified. We are all the same. All right, let's see. When a new building had to be constructed in the Vatican, the architect submitted the plans to Pope John the 23rd. This is a true story. He shortly returned the plans to the architect with 3 Latin words written in the margin. And it said, non sumus angeli, which means we are not angels. And the architects are like, what? The construction guys are all over there. What the heck is that supposed to mean? And finally, one of them, cling, got the light. The plans did not include any bathrooms. Leave it to the Pope to be practical. All right, science of mind. Spiritual mind healing. This is part 3, and it's all for practitioners, basically. But it's for each of us because, we want our prayers to be effective. We want that connection to mean something. And physical perfection is this particular chapter's name. And the next chapter is physical perfection, part 2. But I was trying to explain to my neighbors what I was talking about here, and they're atheists. And when I said the world was perfect, they're like, no way, and start pointing out every horrible thing that's happening everywhere. So sometimes it takes years of science of mind for this stuff to sink in, especially when you're going through difficult times. It's, when you hurt, when somebody close to you dies, or your little dog dies, the world does not seem perfect. And it's difficult to remember that. When you're in pain, you're not thinking I'm physically perfect, but you need to think that because you are. You're spiritually perfect. And this body is just an extension of that perfect spiritual being that we each are. There is no question, this is Ernest Holmes now, there is no question that people throughout the ages have been healed through prayer and faith. It's been going on forever. All these different philosophies and religions, and it's worked in all of them. How's that happen? Why didn't it work for me? Why didn't it work for you? I assume you all pray. Now, Ernest wants you to know that the answer to prayer is in prayer. When it's prayed, the belief of the one praying sets in motion the law of love, which is the fundamental law of the universe. You know, the Bible says right out, God is love. Love, it's not just what makes the world go round, it's what the world is made of. Every atom or subatomic particle, it's all from spirit and it's all love. So that's where your prayers need to start. Man's life in reality is spiritual and mental, and until his thought is healed, no form of cure will be permanent. Health is a physical as well as mental state. We should have no objection to any form of healing, for anything that helps to overcome suffering is good, whether it be a pill or a prayer. Don't deny things just because somebody told you something. You know? If what you're doing doesn't work, try something different. You know, this world is such an amazing place, full of so many things, and the right thing is always there. We believe in every church and all forms of worship. Above all, we certainly believe in God. We realize that mental healing must also be spiritual healing. The two cannot be divorced. You know, you have to, we're here, when we pray, our purpose, you know, it's not begging God for something. If you're there, you're not likely to get really effective results from your prayer. Our purpose as practitioners or just as individuals praying, you know, someone's always asking you, you know, they're suffering and I'll put you in my prayers. You want those prayers to do something, we have to first uncover that spiritual being. We don't, every treatment must carry with it a realization of God. If it is to be a good treatment, we are not in any way superstitious about this, but understand that it is necessary since all life is one and God is the one life in which we all live. The person doing the prayer is not, like I said, it's not begging for something. You're not trying through willpower to create an effect. You know, it doesn't work like that. Where did he write this? I'm probably not there yet. And anytime we think we're causing something to happen in the spiritual universe, God takes our thoughts, this law of action, cause and effect, whatever, creates through what we think. So every time we have a thought, good, bad, indifferent, we're setting that law in motion, which is why it's important to be positive. But it's not our willpower that's doing this. It's just this natural creative medium that is the spiritual world that we live in. As long as you can hold in your thought that concept of physical perfection that is from that spiritual perfection, then you are beginning the healing process. The body itself without mind has neither consciousness or volition. Devoid of mentality, the body neither thinks, sees, hears, feels, touches, nor tastes. Take the mentality away from a body and it becomes a corpse. Having no conscious intelligence, it at once begins to disintegrate and resolve into the universal substance or unformed matter from which it came. I love the unformed matter. All this physical universe that we're in, we're all created from it, from other creations that have been and gone and dissolved. So our atoms are the same atoms that might have been in the heart of a star. You know? Our atoms are the same atoms that our ancestors had in particular, which is real big in the Native American stuff. They're really into their ancestors because they don't write things down, and all their traditions and beliefs are brought through telling stories, and they hand those stories down. So it's quite different way to look at things. It's really beautiful. It's just all these. And why do we all fight? I don't want to know, because I don't see it anymore. We're all, the same person in different forms, and we're all God manifesting as each other. Let's see. I'm skipping a lot of stuff, or otherwise I'll be up here for hours. Realizing that conscious thought operates through a power that is infinite, we see that there can be no limit to the power to heal, other than the limit of our ability to conceive that power as healing. We are limited not by principle, but by our own inability to see perfection. And that's the whole idea of spiritual mind treatment. We're not trying to cause something, although our thoughts set that law in motion. We are a cause in that way. But what we're trying to do is uncover that spiritual perfection in our own mind. We can't look, and he says that in here, if I can find it, we can't look at the disease or condition. As long as we're holding that as part of that being, we're perpetuating it. We have to uncover that perfect spiritual entity that person is. It all is in here. It's all in our own minds. So even if you're praying for yourself, you can't, if you're, please God, this back pain is driving me crazy, would you, take it away from me? That's basically begging, and it ain't gonna work. But also, God, can you show me things that will help with this? That's a little bit like begging, but it's also a positive way to go into it. But as long as we're looking at that back pain as my back pain, we're going to keep it because it's ours. We just stated that. So we have to get over that. Healing is accomplished by uncovering, neutralizing, and erasing false images of thought and letting the perfect idea reflect itself through subjective mind into the body. another thing, nothing works without belief, and nothing works without faith. Faith, we need to know it's going to work. Belief, we need to know. We need to believe it's going to work. Otherwise, we're seeding our negativity in it. Well, I hope this works. Good luck with that. You must know that the power you are using is definite, scientific, dynamic, spiritual, absolute, complete, and that it will work. You know, and it's been working for 1,000 years, 2,000 years, more than that, you know? So it will work. Just have to be there for it. Man is fundamentally perfect. This is our whole premise. Perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. This is the whole basis of our argument. This is Ernest Holmes. Separate the belief. No, I left a letter out. Separate the belief from the believer. For the spiritual man has no disease, and you are talking only about the spiritual man. And in our work, we treat man not as a physical body. Neither do we treat the disease as belonging to him. The reason being that if we do, we cannot subsequently free him from it. Yeah, it's not our back. I wrote a song called Bum Knee Blues for my neighbors, actually, and because he was complaining about his knees. And, you know, as long as they're his knees, and that's the way they are, it's gonna have a problem with that. But anyway, mental treatment is a direct statement of belief into mind, coupled with a realization that the work is already an accomplished fact. As soon as we think that positive thought, we are setting this law of love in motion in the spiritual universe. And it's making things happen in the physical universe. Yeah, okay, I already said that. Sense the divine, sense the divine presence in and through the patient at all times. So if you're praying for yourself, know that you're divine. You're made out of the same stuff that God made everything out of. And this physical universe is the body of God. So you are divine stuff. And actually, Ernest Holmes, not in this particular part, he actually calls it divine stuff. I love it. You know, he was a very enlightened being, but he was also just a person. Just no different from everybody in this room. Boy, and when he prayed for people, they got results. I read a few of his books and some of the changes that people got to experience. And not always what they wanted, but always incredibly enlightening. Okay, let's see. Realizing that conscious thought operates through a power that is infinite, we see that there can be no limit to the power to heal. Other than, all right, did I already read that? I think I did. Okay. The practitioner is trying to realize the state of perfection of the patient. In metaphysical healing, we are conscious that we are dealing with a universal principle of law which takes the impress of our thought and acts upon it. Our work is done entirely in the field of mind. And then this, we work side by side with any doctor the patient may desire, or Reiki master, you know, or faith healer, you know, anything that you believe will work can work. Am I running out of time? I thought so. Okay. I just got a couple of things. Our work in prayer begins and ends in our own consciousness. You know, we're not making you do something or be something. It's all in here, realizing the truth of your perfection. And willpower has nothing whatever to do with mental healing. Even a small amount of right thought puts route to that which is wrong. Disease is a fact, but not a truth. It is an experience, but not a spiritual reality. We must transcend the appearance, even though we admit it as a fact. We must always try to see and sense that back of the appearance, perfection is. That's the main thing of the whole chapter, is that it's mental, it's within our own mind, and we're not trying to do something, but we're just trying to uncover a basic truth, that each of us is spiritually perfect. Thank you.